there was just one 12-year-old, trans athlete. I mean, it is amazing how it is completely, they have been able to make it the only thing that matters in their world, regardless. And also to talk about the slippery slope, like what's the next step in this slippery slope, aside from like the idea that there is some type of industry that is converting gay people into trans people, which is absurd.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
I'm curious as to what is the slippery slope that people are concerned about?
That men and women will no longer mean anything, that there's the feminization of men, and that it's going to affect our national security, because look at China. I mean, that's what Tucker Carlson's been on about. But like, I don't want to let her off the hook, even not saying that you are, but I just want to hammer home how crazy what she just said was. She said that gay people are presiding over conversion therapy. Like what
trans people are.
Trans people for gay people, trying to rope them into their lifestyle. I mean, that is the panic that they try to imbue in all of this, is that your kid's going to be like them too, because they're recruiting. You have a gay kid, you might be more accepting of that kid than you were 20 years ago or 10 years ago when I was on Fox News and saying why that was wrong. And now I've decided I have gay friends who are undoubtedly TERFs who hate trans people and think J.K. Rowling's writings about this make a ton of sense. Like, that gives me credibility in this space. That is bonkers. That is nuts, and that is just not anything close to what's happening. But
and to think, this is the woman that we relied on for all the insight into the fact that Santa Claus was white.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I'm curious about, like her mythological creature analysis is. What does she mean when she says, not like those normal trans people, but the super vicious trans activists? Like there's a bunch of suicides of people being bullied by trans activists. This is not a real thing at all. It reminds me of like super predators or something like that. You're trying to create this image in people's head that, oh yeah, people just won't let me be a man because you got gangs of trans people trying to get you on the road to transition. It's ridiculous.
It's also hilarious, the idea that anyone associated with the conservative movement in this country.
I was a power lifter, and the amount of women who are much stronger than most men is insane. These women are no less feminine just because they're strong, and in that sense, just because they're stronger than men doesn't take away from someone else's masculinity. Well, for conservatives, it does. For a conservative, if you were a man and you dated one of those powerlifting women, and she was stronger than you, even if she was stronger than the average man, then your masculinity would be in question because the woman was stronger than the man. Even if it was the strongest woman in the world, the only people that a conservative thinks can marry that woman is someone stronger than her. Okay? That's how they think. That's how they think. Because a conservative thinks women should be controlled. And if a woman is stronger than you are, then you can't control her physically. That's an inversion.
Would try and project that they are in some way on a mission, even as twisted as the way that she's laying it out, in protecting gay rights and gay lifestyle.
Yeah.
I saw this tweet. I for the life of me, I can't find out who tweeted it, but it was a speech that George P. Bush gave. This is Jeb's son. This is the one who threw his dad under the bus to appease Donald Trump, and is now polling it around 8% in this Texas AG race. But he had this to say, which is fascinating. A state like Texas has the right to protect itself. So whether it's the issue of life, whether it's the issue of marriage, Texans should decide its own future.
That's literally nullification rhetoric. And that was nullification rhetoric, nullification arguments, Chad, were conclusively rebutted. Do you know what rebutted the nullification arguments? You know who rebuts nullification? You know who was the main jurist that rebut that? His name was General Sherman. General Sherman went down to Atlanta and he burned it. And he said, federal government's laws are supersede your own. Who here wants to go down to Austin and burn it? Yeehaw! Sherman's gonna ride again.
I know what he's talking about when he talks about the issue of life. That is, we should be able to kill whoever we want. The state should be able to kill whoever we want. And we should also be able to imprison women or doctors who attempt to maintain autonomy over their own bodies. But what's he talking about with marriage? He is talking about, and this is where they're going next. He's talking about states having the right to deny gay people the right to marry.
Yep.
That's.
I live in Austin. Everyone's getting priced out and leaving because of rent hikes. We are for sure ready to start burning some shit down. Hey, I was told that Texas didn't have high rent because they didn't have any regulations. I was told that it was a freedom. Freedom was you got to live free in Austin, so it was cheap. Oh, I guess that's not true. Oh, okay, never mind. What do you think about this tweet from Anna Kasparian? Okay, hold on. My favorite thing about the online left is they engage in purity bullshit when they have no power. They lose on pretty much every political issue in the country. What does that mean? Okay, we're gonna have to discuss this.
Do not kid yourselves, folks. This is on the docket. This is definitely on the docket.
They see, and Megyn Kelly is aiding by dividing the trans community from the larger LGBTQ community there, because they're using the trans issue or people's anxiety and lack of understanding about who trans people are, and they're using that as an opportunity to open further conversations about how the Supreme Court should maybe address gay marriage. They think that it's a more sympathetic audience when people get caught up in the semantics of whether or not this particular swim meet is fair. They use that as a way to launder their anti-trans bigotry, and through that it's anti-gay bigotry. They're all groomers, and they maybe deserve to be second-class citizens because they're going to try to convert your children.
Yep.
Also, I'm
18
brought
months?
up first to speak on it, but maybe we should get a
And
guess.
11
There
months, or
are
14
historical
months. Thank you
reasons
both.
why the T is rather important to the LGBT.
The reason why the LGBT has a T in it, chat, is because trans people led the gay rights movement from its very inception. It was POC trans women that rioted at Stonewall. Trans rights and gay rights have been intertwined since the very beginning. You can't separate gay rights from trans rights. It can't be done. They are inextricable.
T struggle, and I think Megyn McKellar could try to educate herself before just wondering blithely why.
But like her cocktail friend, gay friends, don't necessarily see that. I mean, like, that is what this is. She's a wealthy person with a bunch of other wealthy people, might know a gay person or two, and they're not connected with like the larger activist struggle, and she's using that as an example.
Murray the Orc. It's actually got my blood boiling listening to Kelly and Crowder, two people who are potentially the absolute worst their genders have to offer, discuss whether or not trans people belong to the community that we created. Every right that the LGBTQ community has is a result of action by trans women. This is why queer history needs to be taught in school.
Yep.
Nicole from Buffalo says the history of transgender and queer people are historically and materially aligned with anyone who tries to convince us otherwise, trying to employ a divide and conquer strategy. Any cisgender, gay, or bisexual person who tries to
Sorry, I'm fucking with shit, obviously. You can see it popping up on the screen randomly.
No longer useful as a wedge against
Give me a
transgender
second.
people, of course.
I'm trying to tweak this logo. I was messing with my layout the other day and
All right, chat. Let us
switching
move
some
on.
shit around, so
Crowder is a piece
of course
shit.
I decide the best time to
Fucking
fuck with it
moron.
again is whenever I'm live, you know what I mean?
What a
That's what a
surprise.
smart person does.
So
Pro streamer.
see if we can talk about. Let's have a little bit of candy chat.
This may end up looking
Bernie
like a
Sanders,
bag of
while
dog
it's
dicks,
gone,
but
Bernie Sanders and AOC
It could be
went
all right.
and rallied with the Amazon labor union, and it was some of the most
it's actually not bad.
wholesome and quite frankly,
I just got to move it to the
Something that
right
happened.
layer.
I was always concerned about Chris, and I was like, because some online left morons went to Chris right after he won the election and said, "Is this AOC's victory?"
What?
And Chris unfortunately kind of fell in the trap and was like, "No, it's not her victory. It has nothing to do with her," which of course is right. It's the
Right.
workers' victory. But since then, he's kind of like he's met with the president of the Teamsters. He talked on the phone with Bernie Sanders, and he's realized that this kind of like childish beef is wrecker shit.
Dude, that's
And he
what
has
the Democratic
brought
Party is all about,
together
though.
everybody
Infighting.
really
You know what I mean?
fight.
Yeah, he's brand new to the political scene, and I'm sure he never really wanted to sign up for that. He was just trying to fight for workers' rights
Uplifting
within his facility,
things you're ever gonna see.
and he achieved that. But to say that he's engaging in the petty, childish infighting is to say, duh. He's part of the Progressive Party now. You know what I mean? Is it the right thing? Hell no, man. He shouldn't be doing that. But to say, to pass judgment on him at this early stage of the game is
It's
just
happening. They're all
ridiculous.
starting to turn on him. They're calling him a class traitor for wearing nice clothes.
Yeah, because, leftism is when no nice clothes,
AOC
of course.
Bernie Sanders photo op with Amazon
Classically.
labor union.
Everybody knows that.
So, chat, these people are fucking brain dead. They have no followers anyway. No one watches this shit. No one watches this shit. What the fuck are you guys elevating this? Stop watching people who elevate this crap. It's meaningless. They don't have any viewers. They don't matter. Or if they do have viewers, they're right-wingers. Who gives a shit about these people? Frank
Whoops.
analysis? Who? Who?
Who dat? Who they? Who be this?
It's not just that they're cloutless, they're stupid. Who gives a shit?
Cloutless. The most egregious of all offenses.
They're cloutless
Classically.
and they're stupid. If they have clout, at least we would have to we'd have to refer to it. It would be valuable to wreck them. But if they have no clout, why are you
Wreck
elevating
them?
these people?
Damn near killed him.
Like, why? Why? What are you doing? And then you call these people the online left. They're not the online left. Hassan's the online left. I'm the online left. TYT is the online left. Sam Cedar is the online left. Michael Brooks was the online left. And yeah, the squad, in many
Boom.
ways,
I like that.
started from the online left. That's the online left. Who the fuck are these people? These are not they're nobodies. They're nothing. Keffels is the online left. What the who?
Who this? Who they? Who that? Yeah, who's Frank Analysis?
Stop giving left.
Look at him. He's so disappointed, man. Look at that thumbnail. I feel for him, man. Oh, he's so sad.
He's attacking new organized labor. They're not on the left. This is not a opinion. This is just a fact. Rastafario, thanks for the tier 1 for 27 months.
In America, that the time is now to stand up to oligarchy, to stand up to this excessive corporate greed. and create
Everyone send me favorite AOC and Bernie clips. Mike, I can't believe I had to wake up to nothing the past 2 days. It makes doing my job unbearable. Thank you for being here today. Well, if you enjoy the stream, chat, you know what you need to do. We need Ilhan candy. All right. This better be Ilhan candy.
Our girl bosses, they are gatekeeping, they are slay queening, they
Yes.
are doing this in the name of Allah, of course, but they
Allah.
are doing girl boss shit.
That's funny. That was funny. I love fucking hearing Hassan's voice as part of that TikTok, dude. In the name of Allah.
One day.
Bismillah.
One day she'll do a TikTok about me. Copium, copium.
Oh, you'll get there, man. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I believe in you.
Still going strong.
You gotta say something funny though, and witty. You don't quite have the
Thank you.
charisma for that.
Music for the tier 3.
Just pop off with something completely out of character. And I mean, for Hassan, it's totally within character.
Probably babies, and you never saw this.
This shit is amazing, though.
I guess I should show you
The
this.
girl bosses.
Is if you're new to politics within the last like 3 years. probably-
Hey, hold up. Okay, where's the button? Where's the button? Now that I got that done.
It's not what I meant, but it's fine.
Yeah, I thought we'd start off by watching some Mike from PA Central Committee because he's been gone for the last couple days, and I've missed him. So I'm tuning into his stream right now, and I hope you guys are okay with that. I always like to start off with a little bit of politics and news on certain days, depending on how I'm feeling. But I feel it's important right now. There we go. I'm here. I'm here. All right.
Now you see, this little bird doesn't know it.
What little birds? They don't know shit. What? I missed it. I'm sorry. I'm missing the joke. I'm not in on the meme. Mike looks like he's about to lose his shit. What little bird are we talking about here? Who's the bird? Why does it look like Bernie's campaign sign got cut off halfway down? Or not even halfway down. Maybe a third of the way down. This is all I could afford.
I think there may be some symbolism here.
I don't get it. I'm an older man. You need to explain the symbolism.
It doesn't look like it, but that bird is really a dove asking us for world peace. No more wars.
Well, for sure. I think most of us can get on that train, but which bird are we talking about here, Bernie? Feel the bird. Birds don't exist.
In any case,
Oh no. I was about to highlight the world's sexiest man too.
Bernie Sanders.
Who was in the background there.
That's Bernie Sanders, chat.
Who? I'm not familiar.
He's still fighting.
God, I wish he was
By
president.
the way, chat. Chris Small stole Hassan's drip. Oh fuck.
No. Well,
Chris
I mean,
stole Hassan's drip.
if we're being sarcastic, for sure, because to call it drip, it's more like a slovenly
Bernie
pile of
2016,
liquids
okay.
that you can't identify.
Let's not do that.
It's not
Let's
quite drip.
fantasize like that.
What's like a
I've seen
sloppier
reports
form
that
of drip?
Bernie is thinking of running again in 2024 if circumstances.
That's not
warrant. What are your
drip.
Thoughts?
It's a leak, right?
My thoughts are.
It's not drip. It's leak.
I will support Bernie because if Joe Biden can run again, if Donald Trump can run again, then Bernie Sanders can run again. Absolutely, 1,000.
How old is Bernie? I mean, he's definitely far more functional than
I think-
President Brandon is.
He's trying to pass the torch to AOC. He clearly loves AOC.
And I'm okay with that.
I am. honestly
However, she's got to
trying to
take the
support
baton with open arms, so to speak.
AOC
You know what I'm saying?
Squad people.
Sorry, I'm closing out a
Bring
couple
more
background
people.
programs.
More progressives need to be brought in.
Agreed. But they need to be legit
My favorite
progressives
recent Bernie
and not
moment
just
was in Battle Creek on a freezing day.
the type who will espout those type of policies
Do you think she will run for president?
when it's convenient and then not do anything about it when they get into that position. You know, like say voting present on the Iron Dome funding. That's not honoring the values of progressives. You know? Not in my mind.
That they can link in, that people don't have to be sleeping in their cars in order to work for Amazon. All of this is an indignity and an injustice that has no place in New York City. And we're going to change that. And right here, our workers out here are going to change that. So New York, it's time to step up for our workers, because we're going to make sure that they go all the way. We've got their back, and if Amazon and Blue Origin wants $10 billion contracts, and if they want $100 million tax breaks from the state, well, they got to do their end of the deal too. All right? So we're out here to support them. We're
Hell yeah.
sure that we
It's good, man. It's all good. All of this kind of camaraderie and supporting the actual causes is what needs to happen, because this is actual action and not just words. And that's what pisses a lot of people off, I think, is that's what politics is about, right?
Beautiful.
Or what it's always been historically.
Hype is real.
Is not getting the shit done. It's just talking about it. And that's infuriating.
An economy that works for all,
And she's right
not
there.
just the few.
Okay, why is this why is this so out of focus? Fucking leftist streams, man. Leftist streams.
Quality, man. It's quality shit. What do you want from them, huh? We're running this at 240 progressive resolution, so that way you guys know we're serious.
Congress. She's doing an extraordinary job. Please welcome Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
He nailed it. And I love that he has love for AOC. I really do. I think she is the future of the movement. Okay.
The fuck is happening with the audio?
What do you mean? This is just not
Like, what are your thoughts on this website?
epitome of quality
And taking more
recordings in any capacity.
money. What?
Big shout out to the workers that did the damn thing out here at Amazon. What you all did,
Okay, I need to. Is it broken for everybody or just me?
Chris and Derek and Justine.
Apparently going from 70 to 50. Chat. Let me just say that they fucked up. I can't really talk about that.
Let me know if this background music is triggering anybody. I think it's kind of relaxing though.
Changing.
I usually play the same background music every day because it's like 12 hours long, and so I don't have to constantly keep fucking with it. But
new partners anyway.
I tried something different today. I'm trying to find something that's
They're talking about
DMCA or copyright free, so I can upload the VOD to YouTube, because what I try to do is simultaneously stream amongst 3 separate platforms just to try to get more people to watch, honestly. And so that way I can get the advice on how to optimize the content and improve it and make it more entertaining, or whatever you want to say. And so I tried to do like a multi-stream across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And usually, God, man, whenever the VOD gets uploaded to YouTube, immediately, if I have any background music, it's like copyright, copyright strike, which is fine. Like I said, it doesn't really matter because I'm not getting paid, but I do like to have some background music. So
this is very interesting.
I'm almost at the point where I'd like to pay somebody to just put together the chill background beat, melody, whatever.
This is very interesting.
And just pay for it and be like, here, man, take this money. Thank you for the background music. Did he fall asleep? That's relatable. He looks like me too, because the same thing whenever I look down at my phone, like whenever I'm checking notifications. The problem is I get sucked in with like a Twitter notification of something that's happening, and I guarantee that's probably what's going on with him.
Island was just the beginning. It was the first domino to fall. The first one. And then we're going to have another election tomorrow, and we're going to support them in that, and then the day after that, and the day after
get it.
But what we need Amazon to do first and foremost is to recognize the union that won their election fair and square.
How much time do they have to negotiate with the union now? I wonder what the law is now that they've voted and it's a legit thing, a legitimate entity. I wonder if there's an amount of time that the law puts on it that Amazon has to negotiate a renewed contract with the union, which is good. It's good, man, because like she said, it's the first domino to fall, and I believe that we need to keep this up.
All of us as a city need to remember that New York City's a union town. And if you're gonna do
I guess it is, yeah.
New York, you gotta treat our people right. And so if you can go to space, you can give our workers a bathroom break. Ain't that right?
That's right.
You can go to space, you can make sure that you're treating people well and giving them solid health care benefits. That they don't have a
Yeah, man. Somebody
work.
made a comment in Mike's chat. This is the worst mic of all time, and like microphone, and they're absolutely fucking right. Let me go to full screen,
No place.
because he does similar to what I try to do,
And right here, our workers have
where even though we get to see the chat as a side window, he overlays his chat as part of the display, which I try to do the same, because it's easier to read that way. And I also feel like, you know, if it ever gets to a point where there's a community that's large enough,
and Blue Origin
people like to see their messages being seen. You know what I mean?
$100 million tax breaks.
So to put it on the screen along with the other important components, I think is valuable, man. You want people to feel like you're paying attention.
Because again, New York City is a union town, and we're not going to stop.
But yes, I don't understand
Is union made.
the quality. Like, this is 2022, man. Can we not at least get a camera that's at least 720? You know what I'm saying? Or did they just forget to put autofocus on the camera? Because I noticed, like with my camera even, it's on autofocus, but sometimes it just doesn't fucking feel like working. So I'll have to flick it to
one contract.
manual focus, but you know, it's just a couple little twists,
That they've won the initial
and
election,
it comes into focus.
which gives them legal standing.
Dude, I look like
right.
I need to cut my hair again, because it looks like there's parts of my fucking bangs missing, and I promise they're not.
You identify the bargaining unit.
Look at me, I'm fucking like,
organize.
ew,
You get
what's
the workers
wrong with my
together
hair today?
to
I look
educate,
so
agitate,
ridiculous.
organize, vote. They, you know, you get in the organizing phase, you have people sign union cards, which is basically letters of intent to join the union and say that they want the union to represent them. Okay. Once you have 50% plus one of the bargaining unit, I believe that's the number. It might be wrong. I mean, this is off the top of my head, but it's 50% plus one of the proposed bargaining unit's workers have signed the union contract. The company has two choices. They can either do what's known as voluntary recognition, where they recognize.
This is what I was asking.
Or they could call for what's known as a National Labor Relations Board election. So the National Labor Relations Board, which is a federal government agency, comes and they say, okay, what is, and they make decisions on what the bargaining unit is. And they say, okay, this is what the bargaining unit is. And the company argues for these employees to be in or out. And the union argues that these employees should be in or out of the unit. And then they have a secret ballot election. And if the workers get a majority of the secret ballot election votes, then the union is legally recognized.
So they still have to
the
do.
National Labor Relations Board, which means that they now may engage in various forms of collective action.
Okay.
Labor
Collective
action.
bargaining.
For example, strikes.
Nice.
So the union then goes to the company and says, we are the recognized labor union. We would like to organize collectively for the members of the union and create a union contract. Now, the company has a lot of different things they can do here. The company can decide at this point, okay, let's negotiate with the union. Or the company can slow roll this process and do fucking nothing and just kind of have people continue to work at the company with their pre-existing relationship that they had prior to the union existing.
No shit.
If the company decides not to negotiate with the union, well, then the workers have to take strike action.
Yeah.
They have to take some sort. They have to threaten.
My title is over
against the company.
Over top of his title. I'm trying to give him credit, right?
And the
because
more of the company's operations.
I say this a lot, but anytime I tune into somebody else's stream or watch somebody else's videos, I try to say, hey,
labor union,
this is where I got it from.
Organize as many
apparently, my connection has fallen to the tits, or his tits have fallen off, but it's the resolution has fallen to about the same quality as the video we were watching. So hopefully that will resolve itself. Where should I put this though?
You only need 30% of the union to call for an election, source being I'm a board agent. Okay.
Okay.
There you go. I thought that I was misremembering something. Yeah, thank you.
Put mine down towards the bottom, maybe. Cover up his bullshit about
in the beginning,
Jacobin.
you know, we didn't have the support that we do now. And
Hell yeah.
Now that we won,
Now that you won, all of a sudden you got wicked support.
as an organization,
I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. That's positive. But by the same token, it's like y'all didn't back us up until we won.
shout out to Bernie Sanders, man. You're a legend, bro. Seriously. Shout out to AOC. Thank you. Shout out to the community. We did this shit. Workers did this. Workers. So now we have to take this power and we gotta take it to Jeff Bezos' office and we gotta let him know that
Jeff Bezos doesn't even run the company anymore, does he? I know it's probably just like metaphorical mostly, but didn't Jeff Bezos step back?
And I want us to win LDJ5. LDJ5 has been busting their ass, organizing day in and day out. And we need to support them. And also we need to support all the Amazon facilities around the world who want to organize as well. Jeff Bezos, your time is coming, brother. Your time is coming.
Oh my God, take it easy.
The people have spoken, and it's time for us to whoop that ass.
Time for us to whoop that ass and kick y'all's dicks with my boot. Get it? Did you write a rap, man? Because I want to hear it. I bet you he's probably got a dope ass rhyme for this shit. So from basically what it sounds like, what Mike was saying is Amazon can continue to just ignore these people. Is that right? They could just straight up ignore them, and even if they approach Amazon and they're like, listen, we took this vote and the employees have all unanimously, or the majority has decided to allow us to represent them collectively, they can just ignore them? Like, that's insane to me. So what is this victory? I mean, I know they had a vote to essentially establish whether or not to form the union, or whether or not a certain percentage of people wanted to move forward with the union, right? So what, we're at a point now where they don't really have any influence or control or power yet, is that right? And essentially Amazon can just be like, nah, dude, nah, like, I know what you're trying to tell us, but nah, like, we don't like that, we don't agree with that. And then they collectively can go on strike, and that is their power, so to speak. I mean, I get that that's mainly the power that is possessed or held within a union, is the ability to go on strike. But that's what's so scary about it, man, about the whole process, right? Because you've got people that are working there that aren't making ample profit, okay?
It would be
And what I mean is like they're getting paid, right? And they're able to pay their bills, but we have no understanding of how much excess they have left over. And that's what I mean by profit.
Joy Gray is probably
To me, profit, well, I mean, the literal definition of it, right, is how much you get to keep after you've paid out all your expenses.
and that allowed her to get an
And that applies as an employee as well, right? Oh, God.
absolute joke.
You go in. Are you going to fix? See, this is what I was talking about, my autofocus. All right, there we go. But so that's what's so weird about this entire thing is they've already done the work as far as I'm concerned. They've already put in the effort to spread the word and convince enough of their coworkers to join the union, which is awesome. And so they're at this position now that's pivotal, but you have people that are making income through their wages, right? But if it's similar to most other jobs in the country, there's not a lot of excess money after you collect your income and then pay out your bills, right? Because if there is, then you're wealthy and you're making more than the average person, I would guess. So what I'm getting at is it's great that they've got to this point, but if Amazon just decides they're not going to acknowledge them as a union or allow them to control the narrative or, control negotiations for the employees as a whole, then the union has to strike. How many people are actually going to do that? How many people can afford to do that? Right? Because I think that not only is the threat of striking the power that a union holds, but don't unions have to set up like a war chest, essentially, for the eventuality that they'll have to strike, or just in case they have to strike? Like, for instance, they've just formed this union. Do they have a war chest? Do they have any money put back at all that if Amazon's like, no, we're not going to recognize you, can they afford to pay the people to go on strike? And then you constantly have that same problem, right? Where if they, let's say they do have a war chest and they can't afford to go on strike, Amazon puts out ads on Indeed and several different websites and they get people in the door. No problem, because truthfully, it doesn't take, I haven't worked in one of their warehouse facilities before, but I would imagine it doesn't take a ton of training, and I don't mean to demean those positions, okay, because God knows that the positions that I've held in my jobs, they don't take a ton of technical expertise, So what I'm getting at is, it's amazing that they've been able to accomplish this, but I still fear for them as a union, because when push comes to shove and they do have to go on strike, will they be able to stand the weather? You know what I mean? Do they have the funds to pay the people who will not be able to work during this time? For how long can they hold out? And then also, is it still legal for Amazon to hire scabs? I would imagine, yeah. I would imagine there's no laws against that. So then it becomes worthless. This union becomes worthless. And that's, I think, a big part of the problem with the country, right? Is even if you are successful at setting up a union like this, all they have to do is ignore your ass. And they know that you don't have the funds to hold out as long as they do. And that's the sad reality. And that's the sad reality of why a lot of unions fall off, I think. Because they can just be like, well, look, we'll bring in, 2, 4, 500, 18 to 24-year-old kids. Give them 3-4 days worth of training. Set them loose, and all of a sudden we've got you replaced, and we don't need you anymore, so have a good day. And I don't know what the laws are around that, right? I don't know if Amazon can be like, well, tough shit to them. Like, the employment contract that you sign in most states is at will employment contracts, where for the most part they can get rid of you for any reason, right? So now that they have a union, does it afford them any protections other than the collective power that comes with the union? Like, hey, we can all go on strike because we're being mistreated. Is there laws? Are there laws that now protect them more so than if they were individuals working for Amazon? I just don't know. I don't know enough about it. I would assume so, because otherwise it's kind of pointless to go through all this trouble. I just realized that my lint brush here kind of looks like a dick. I mean, with elongated balls, right? Like, this would be the weirdest. You got more ball than you do shaft, my guy. But I just saw that and thought it was hilarious. Normally, it's not hanging up that high. Sorry, easily distracted. That's why I call it the ADHD stream of consciousness, man, because it never is one-track mindedness. It's always all over the place. Speaking of one-track mindedness, I'm hungry. Hold on.
Proper best practices. You think it's fucking non-union scum who cut corners to make money? It's professionals who have dedicated themselves to the craft.
I got these Cinnamon Toast Crunch bars, which I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't think I've ever had Cinnamon Toast Crunch, like, as the cereal. Like, I don't ever remember, as a child, pouring Cinnamon Toast Crunch into a bowl with milk and eating it. I have no idea why, but these Cinnamon Toast Crunch treats is what it's called. You can get, like, at the gas station. I think I got it at Circle K. And with my addiction treatment, the medication, it makes me crave sugar, like insane quantities of sugar. It's disgusting. And I already had a sweet tooth prior to that. So, like, in the middle of the day, I'll get a craving for something sugary. And these are, like, just crazy sugary, but they're so good.
Mike, do you have any advice?
Oh my god.
But are fearful of losing everything if they are fired for trying, or do they get fired and life becomes rough? Hope
Good
that
question.
makes sense.
That's what I was wondering.
There's never anything worth fighting for comes with some risk. Obviously. But now that we're in a relatively tight labor market, bosses, this is the best opportunity you're probably going to have to make these kind of moves. You know, until we change the laws, now is the time. You know, and you're not going to lose everything, you know. And by the way, even if you don't organize, even if you don't unionize, even if you make no effort to get a contract, you could lose anything anyway. Tomorrow, your company could decide that you're not making them enough money, or they want to move the factory, or they want to move your job. They want to replace you with a young entry-level employee. You're never safe. You're never safe. Anybody telling you that you're safe is lying to you.
I agree with that to an
If you're
extent.
an artist, specifically an animator, Agitprop is great. Agitprop is great.
Sorry, I'm chewing into the mic. Here's why I do agree and disagree with what he just said. Because he's right. To an extent, your job is always at risk. They can always hire somebody younger, pay somebody less money, yada, yada, yada. But that does require effort, okay? And I know that sounds silly, but it requires a certain level of effort for them to go out of their way to bring in new people, because they have to conduct interviews, they got to do background checks, they got to do drug screening, you know. I'm not saying that applies to all jobs, but for the majority of jobs, okay, I can't remember. I mean, I'm sure there have been a couple, but throughout my employment history, I don't recall being able to get a job without at least having to take a drug test or have a background check or both. You know what I mean? And those do cost money. Like, they do have to pay for that shit. So when I mean it, like, it takes effort, I do mean that. So while your job may be at risk, always, it's not fully feasible that they're going to go through the effort of replacing you when it might just be cheaper to leave you be and leave you in the position, because they don't have to bring in somebody else. They don't have to interview them. They don't have to administer the drug test and background check. They don't have to train that person. You know what I mean? So while they can go through the process of replacing you, what are the chances that they honestly will? That's kind of where I disagree. I just don't think that they constantly want to be spinning the carousel, so to speak. You know, it's like a revolving door. I know that whenever I worked, you know, even as like a line lead or shift manager or whatever the fuck at a production facility, that was one thing I hated, was it was constantly bringing in new people and then having to train them only for them to quit or get fired like 2 weeks later, and then have to do, it was constant bringing in new people, training them, they'll work for a bit, they get fired or quit, and then so on and so forth, just over and over and over. And I just so many times was like, I wish we could just get somebody in here. They don't even have to be great at the job, just decent at the job, but show up every day, week after week. That goes a long way. So a lot of people might accept your subpar job performance just because you're more reliable.
And that's what unions are. They're professionals at organizing. They're professionals and experts at labor law. They know how to negotiate. Trust me. And this is not just like a trust thing. This is also a fact thing. You go and compare non-union to unionized employees at every educational level, from non-high school all the way to postgraduate degree and professional degree. Unionized workers make more than non-union.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I see unions as a net good, but I wish having a union didn't mean piece of shit employees get their support and often help them keep their job when they're genuinely worthless. It really happens in every job.
Yeah,
Genuinely
exactly.
worthless people keep
I'm
their
sorry.
job for all-
That argument is always really funny to me as well.
If somebody is worthless,
While I don't see, okay, I don't not see that position. Okay, I agree with the position to an extent, again, like most positions. But like Mike mentioned, there are piece of shit employees in every industry, in lots of positions, because it's human nature to try to get the most for the least amount of work. I mean, straight up. It is human nature to try to get the most pay with the least amount of effort put forth, whether it be mental exertion, physical exertion, the number of hours worked per week, per day, whatever. We always want to get paid more for less work. And what's strange, and has been that way for as long as I've been alive, the higher you are up in the food chain, the less work you do, but the more you get paid. And so that's what's bizarre about it, right? So that is the goal. The goal is to get paid a lot more for less work. And so it applies when people actually do get a job, even if they have had that job for a while. I mean, you see like older employees that have been employees of a company for a long time, and they go in and they don't work as hard as like the young rookies that are just coming in, you know, because they have in their minds and in the other employees' minds and possibly the boss's mind, you know, they've earned that sort of respect and reverence to where they're not required to work as hard, but yet they get paid more than everybody else, you know.
But the reality is, chat, you can't outsource a warehouse. You can't outsource.
So there's going to be piece of shit people in every job. That's what I'm getting at.
Those companies have to employ Americans. So to rebuild the American labor movement, we have to unionize workplaces that can't be moved. All right, Chad. It's time for I've been looking at this and tweeting on the other screen, so I just have to talk about it. I just have to talk about it, Chad. I'm sorry. I it's pissing me off.
Is it Russia cutting gas to
Reddit.
Poland?
I thought that they were raising partner pay. I can't believe I was so deluded. I thought that they were raising partner pay. Twitch cutting streamer pay?
Yeah, I saw Hassan just tweet about this.
Amazon's Twitch seeks to revamp creator pay with focus on profit. Now, chat, if I was trying to make Twitch profitable, you know what I would do? I would get rid of our extremely expensive office space in San Francisco. I would, I don't know, cut some of their worthless staff. No offense, but the people that produce the content that makes Twitch valuable are the streamers, not the 80,000 executive vice presidents who...
Yeah, what do they even do? I mean, for real, other than going out and trying to seek out advertisers that want to run their ads on Twitch?
That's just what I know.
I mean, I know there's
I'm not saying that all Twitch
a website that needs to be upkept, you know, but how much of that is like constant 8-hour a day, 5-day a week work?
But there's an extremely bloated staff because they don't produce content. They're managers. I'm looking for the wrenches in chat. Yeah, I'm sorry, but
I wonder how much of this is going to get blamed on Hassan buying his $2.6 million house. I mean, seriously. It's ridiculous. I mean, and what Hassan tweeted, I don't remember the exact words a few minutes ago, but it was something of like, you know, the lion's share of his income comes from people who pay subscription fees at like $5 a month. You know, like the base subscription fee, tier 1, right? And that's where the vast majority of his income comes from anyway. But whenever they talk about the subscription fees here, it looks like Twitch is trying to take a larger chunk, which, let's face it, YouTube's been doing that for years, right? Like, people who are primarily existing as content creators on YouTube, they make quite a bit less than Twitch streamers, I think. YouTube for a long time has been cutting into their content creators' profits. But having said that, and this is me who I do not make income doing this. I mean, I only do from my blessed followers who occasionally give me donations, but I haven't achieved the level where I can, request subscribers or anything like that. But the fact that you can even do this as a career at all is a blessing. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm not going to say that we're owed this type of career.
That would be me too.
Like a lot of other big creators would. And I don't think there's anybody who would really argue that no, this is an industry that has to exist. It doesn't have to exist, but in a big way, this is where media entertainment is moving towards. The legacy media and legacy forms of entertainment and television are just falling by the wayside. My mom and I were just talking this morning about what we pay for DirecTV, and myself and Lily, my daughter, we don't watch DirecTV. It's YouTube, it's Twitch, it's Netflix, like all the time. So, but having said that, it's still $230 a month for them to pay for DirecTV. $230 a month. And they're like, well, yeah, but you get 180 channels. How many of those do I actually watch? You know, and that's really, I think, what led to the shift in people moving away from this legacy media towards online content is, dude, $230 a month? Jesus, that's like a car payment. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it's fortunate that anybody's able to make full-time level income off of something like this.
I'm not revealing anything.
It's extremely rewarding. I mean, I have found so much joy in it in the short amount of time that I've been streaming, and
Do you guys remember
I will be 100% transparent. I know that the quality of the content
Twitch contract?
isn't that great, but I love doing it. I love doing this. I love being able to come on here and just run my mouth
Remember that? Remember
and engage in whatever I want, like watch, some other streamer,
I could negotiate.
because I love their takes and I love their perspectives. I can hop on and play a video game. I can watch paranormal videos. I can even do like in real life stuff. I was talking the other day about, I've got a couple DJI drones that I need to knock the dust off of them, and I thought it would be cool to like do a sort of live stream where I fly the drone, because I have a mechanism to hook the camera straight into the stream feed and go fly it. So essentially you guys would be seeing straight from what the drone sees. And like I know that that's not exciting, and there's not a whole lot of difference between, say, doing that and me just going and flying it somewhere cool and then just showing you guys, as a video, look what I recorded, you know what I mean? But I thought it would be cool to, just kind of mix shit up. So there's a almost infinite possibility for content that you can create. And not only that, but you can kind of make your own schedule, and it gives you the opportunity to exist as a normal human, where if you have a doctor's appointment, or you got to take your kid to the doctor, or something happens where you get a flat tire, you're not going to get fired. You don't have to be stuck in like a sweaty factory for 8 to 12 hours a day, and then operate and live at their mercy. You know what I mean? And you don't run any risk of getting screwed out of your job because you're not a part of a labor union or something. You know what I mean? So the fact that this is even a possibility as a career, people should really count their blessings. And I mean, it's insane that Hassan makes so much money doing this. And I've said this 100 times. I would be forever grateful if I could do this as my job. You know what I mean? Because to me, this is not a job. This is not a job. To me, a job is something that you have to do, right? Like a place and a occupation that you have to engage in, because you have to have income to pay whatever bills you got. God damn, dude, I'm gonna have to switch this to manual focus because it's driving me nuts that it cannot keep its shit together. And it's a Sigma lens, dude. It's not a cheap lens. Am I good? I think I'm okay. All right, but yeah, truthfully, it's a job is a occupation that you have to take part in because you have to. And very seldom, in my experience, do you find joy in a job. If you're finding joy in it, it's not a job. It's a career. And those are the type of things that we all strive for when we're kids. You're told you can do whatever the fuck you want whenever you're an adult. And that's supposed to be true. And in a lot of cases, it can be. If everything goes right. If you successfully complete high school, if you go on to college, and life is kind to you, and you're able to get through college and get a degree, and that's even what's funnier too is whenever you go into college, you might think starting off, what you want to study, and you might think what you want to do when you complete college. You might think, I want to work with animals, or I want to work in a zoo or something like that. And so you do all the appropriate schooling, and you graduate, and you get certified, and you find a job, like working at a zoo, and you might just find out that you fucking hate it. I mean, that's just the way life is sometimes. You can't plan for everything, and you can't anticipate all of the pitfalls that you might run into. So it might just turn out to be that. It might just turn out to be that you ultimately fucking hate what you studied your entire life or your college career to attain, right? So then you're kind of stuck in this position where you either have to go back to college to try something different, or you know what I mean? It's just there's a lot involved in that. Not only trying to become an adult and establish a career that you're going to enjoy, but then maintaining that happiness, you know, because you might get burned out on it, you know, even if you complete college and you really enjoy it at the jump, it might be 2 years at most, and then you're like, God, okay, I just don't enjoy this as much as I thought, or I don't enjoy it as much anymore as I used to. And then you move on to something else. And like I said, this is assuming that everything goes right for you during the time that you're studying to become whatever it is, you know, because shit goes wrong all the time. And you can't foresee every possibility. So I think that our society and the world these days have really gotten away from the thought that our one life is super important, and that the main goal of living is to enjoy it, because you can't go back and do it again. So when you get caught up doing a job that you absolutely hate, and maybe you become, you know, just sucked in, right, where you're constantly working, and you know, it starts off just being a 5-day-a-week, 8-hour-a-day gig, but then let's say you're working at a factory and all of a sudden their orders shoot up and now you're going to 7 days a week or 10 hours, 12 hours a day. You know, it just fluctuates like that, and it takes a toll on you mentally and physically. But the whole goal of living is to enjoy leisure time and try to explore enrichment, right? Like discover things that you enjoy, whether it's like painting or being a musician, or you know what I mean? Like you're supposed to be able to take time to explore passions. But nowadays you don't have the time or the energy to explore those things because you're spending all of your good, valuable, productive time working. I mean, you wake up, right, and say like you get your coffee, if you're a coffee drinker or whatever it is, and kind of wake you up and you go in and you're fresh at the beginning of the day. And then as the day goes on and that drops off, and then say you eat lunch, and then all of a sudden it's like that soon after lunch you lose all of your energy. And that's okay because usually you only have a couple more hours left in the day, you know, but your productivity drops off substantially throughout the day. And then by the time you get home and say you cook and eat dinner, you're so damn tired from having worked and done the normal adult things throughout the day that you don't have the energy to devote to passions and leisure activities. You know what I'm saying? You just keep in your mind that, well, I got to go to bed because I got to get ready to get up and do it all again tomorrow. And the next day and the next day and the next day. Now, you might be able to take time on the weekends, you know. Hopefully you've got a job that allows you to have the weekends off, and maybe you can take the time to do that. But I always found myself that on the weekends, I was like, you know, I got to recharge. Like, you know what I mean? I have to catch up on whatever sleep I may have missed out on through the week because I didn't get enough sleep or didn't get enough quality sleep or whatever it is. And then I end up, you know, not exploring any leisure activities through the weekend either because I'm trying to catch up on what I may have shorted myself on through the week. I don't know. It's just, it kind of ends up being a vicious cycle. So what I'm getting at, of course, I've said it a couple times, but the fact that you can even do content creation in any capacity as a career, and be able to pay even a part of your bills, let alone it be your whole gig, you know what I'm saying, is incredible. And it's not, I know it's been that way for years now, and it's funny to me that a lot of older people don't even acknowledge it as a legit career, you know, or a legit job. But, you know, there's a big sector and big percentage of content creators that have been doing it for a long time, you know. They've survived like the ad apocalypse and all these crazy ups and downs that have occurred throughout YouTube's life and Twitch's life, and just continued to grow. And that's great, man. That's great. They should really count their blessings with that shit. It is crappy to hear that the income could change, but it looks like Twitch is considering paring back the revenue cut of channel subscriptions granted to the top echelon of streamers in its so-called partnership programs to 50% from Okay, I'm sorry, you were getting 70%. That's very generous. That's generous. Because let's face it, they're a big company and they could have been squeezing your nuts from day one, but they gave you 70%. That's pretty generous in my opinion. And I'm not saying like from like just a base level perspective that's generous. I'm saying that from a corporate from a corporate capitalistic structure, the way that this country operates, for them as a multi-billion-dollar corporation to offer their creators 70% of those subscription fees, right? Yeah. Is generous of them. It's generous of them. It's 100% fair. I think it's his internet that keeps bunking out. I don't think it's mine. So every time it's blurring out and his face is getting crazy, I'm pretty sure that's on his end. I don't think it's me. I've been pretty stable ever since we bumped up our internet around here. I'm getting 50 megabytes per second consistently of upload speed and a gig of download. It averages around 800, but it tops out at a gig. But yes, so that's fair, man. That's fair. That's more than fair. 70%. Holy shit. And that's the way it should be, because they're the ones that create the entertaining content, right? That keep people coming back and watching. So that's a fair percentage, but as just a corporate juggernaut, the fact that they offered 70% at all to their creators is surprising. I didn't know it was that much.
This is like they're begging to lose. Like what? Wait a minute. You're going to try to take a bunch of money
Listen
from
to him.
me,
He's so
you're
mad.
gonna give me the freedom to try other platforms and build them up?
No.
This is absolutely stupid.
Which Chad, my buddy Chad, Chewy, one of my followers, informed me, and I didn't know this.
Viewers on YouTube?
The multi-streaming that I was talking about, where I can multi-stream to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook at the same time, that ceases whenever you become a partner. And I didn't know that. He was the first person to tell me that. Like, once you become an affiliate or a partner, I'm not sure. He said which one it was, but I can't remember. But once you get to that sort of echelon of Twitch success, if you want to call it that, you can't multi-stream anymore. You have essentially committed yourself to this platform. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm seriously considering Facebook gaming. I know it's not like nearly as popular, or, you know, it doesn't have the scope and the breadth of Twitch, and that's mainly why I've stuck with it. Because it's like, you want to stream? Okay, well, Twitch for sure. It's the first one that comes to mind, you know. I don't even know names of other streaming platforms, to be honest. I mean, I know you can live stream on YouTube. Like I said, I do that as part of the multi-stream. But when I think of YouTube, I don't think of live streaming. I think of content creation, produced, edited videos. And they've become very good at it. There are a lot of really good content creators that either edit themselves and are great at it, or they employ editors that are also fucking fantastic at it. And I can't do that. I don't edit worth a damn. I just don't know how to do it well enough. And truthfully, even though there might be like a one single creative bone in my body, I'm not great at it. But, you know, I just vaguely remember Facebook launching their own Facebook gaming, right? And I'm assuming that's where it's live streaming to. I know that essentially whenever I multi-stream, it launches the stream, or it displays it as part of my news feed on Facebook. But I don't know if it like continuously stays there. Like, I don't know. I haven't explored it. But truthfully, I just think that in terms of like audience that might enjoy my content, maybe, that Facebook might be more viable. I don't know. I haven't really explored it. Like I said, I just get enjoyment out of being on here and flapping my gums. So I haven't put a lot of thought into how to make it more successful per se, you know, because I could come in here and just talk shit to myself all day. That's usually what I do, you know. But yeah, would I like to cultivate a larger audience? Yeah, I think that anybody who says that they don't give a damn about creating a community is lying. You know, ultimately, everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to not only entertain, but maybe inspire, you know, and try to convince people that, listen, I got you. Like, if you need advice or insight or whatever, because that's what I go for when I watch streamers. I go for their insight, right? Regardless of what the topic or the subject is, whether it's politics or gaming or whatever. When I watch a specific content creator, it's because I feel like they have genuine insight into whatever their niche is, you know? So like Mike from PA, he's a streamer that does politics and a lot of news. He's similar to like Hassan, you know, and it's political in nature, which is where my content viewing has been oriented over the last couple of years or so. But that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy watching people stream gaming or anything like that. But so I feel like that is a huge component to it. When somebody finally makes a decision that they want to do streaming, they want to cultivate a community that believes in them and feels like they have some sort of insight and good advice that they can offer to their community. And that's what it ultimately ends up being, you know. I go and watch Hassan because I feel like he's got similar perspectives to the way that I feel about things. Same way with Mike. But the thing is since I haven't quite honed in exactly, I mean, just because I haven't paid much attention to where my values and beliefs would necessarily fall on a political spectrum. I mean, I have a much firmer understanding of that now as opposed to like 2 years ago. But, you know, it doesn't mean I always 100% agree with everything they say. I mean, but I do believe that they've got really good insight into these topics that are really important these days, you know? So that's why I come. That's why I watch. Because I do feel that they've got good takes and good insight into things that I care about. So I think that everybody that's a content creator starts doing this kind of shit, live streaming or whatever it is, they want to feel that, you know, there are at least a significant portion of people out there that appreciate what they have to say or value what they have to say or are entertained by the bullshit that they have to say. You know what I mean? So I think that anybody's like, no, I don't give a fuck about that. It's just they're lying to themselves.
$5
if they believe
for
that.
1,000 ad impressions, depending on a streamer's location, has remained essentially unchanged for years. Now, chat. Let's say that I have. Do you see why I'm not spamming ads on you? Let's say I spam 3 minutes of ads and I get $10, $15. Absolute dog shit. I'm never doing that. Whoa. I don't care if it makes me a couple thousand a month. No. Absolutely not.
I feel like his voice is off.
To do that.
It's not aligning with the fucking flapping of his lips. So give me a second. Let me refresh this because that's driving me nuts. Oh boy. Okay, muted. I was like, holy shit. Is it really delayed that bad now? Let's see if it's any better.
It's fucking dog shit. CPMs on YouTube can be over $20 for some categories. Do you see? See what I'm seeing? You know, see what I'm saying?
That's clicks per minute, though.
There's one guy
that's not ad impressions. Those are two different things, right?
Go Blue. How much do I make?
Cover Go Blue. What is that? What?
Let's see if this video is still up. Here is a content creator on YouTube who makes Magic the Gathering content.
Oh, it's Covert Go Blue. Okay.
All right.
Hey, Chad. He's an MTG streamer, right?
He showed
If
this.
you're in here, this is right up your alley. Holy shit.
A month.
Total estimated revenue is close to $3,000 per month.
Okay. Then he goes
Okay.
to YouTube.
That's huge. Okay. So that first one was Twitch. Okay.
30,000.
30,000 a month versus what was it on Twitch?
Now he's doing well, like 2.7 million views. That's a lot for a month. He pumps out videos.
Dude, I thought that YouTube paid
But
less.
this is ad revenue. This is not subscription. This is not like revenue from people. This is just people watching.
To be fair, though, I feel like the content on YouTube takes more effort. I'm not trying to like belittle streamers or anything like that, but like the editing that I talked about, man.
2226.
Like I know Chad spends an ass ton of time. Like if we ever record together, it takes forever to edit those fucking videos. I mean, not just to scrub through them and, you know, try to change the content for the better, you know, cut out things that are boring or whatever. If you're adding anything to it as well, that takes time, you know, so it's just the whole process of fucking
You know, paying
editing. It takes forever. So,
50,
I mean,
9 times more, you know, 8 times more. Suddenly it makes more sense.
I think that it's 8 times more worth of work. I mean, I'm being serious, man. And this is me not knowing how to edit. I think that the amount of effort that goes into producing and editing a quality YouTube video of 10 to 12 to 15 minutes even
left, which is wrong,
is like 8 times as difficult as it is for me to sit here and go, oh my God, this is so difficult. I don't get paid enough.
This has an opportunity. This is the next generation. First of all, they need to be going and getting boomers to watch ads or streams. And Gen X, many people don't even know what streaming is. They think, oh, you mean Netflix? Live streaming is still a fucking baby business. The leadership at Twitch is incredibly stupid. I'm sorry, but this is a totally bad decision. Another episode of Capitalist bad at capitalism. Yeah.
And I truthfully wonder how much of it, like, truthfully, right, goes towards paying their useless staff. I mean, if they were to honestly sit down and evaluate how much staff it takes to upkeep the site, to make sure that the people who are responsible for keeping the site up to date aren't being overworked and not everything is being dumped on 1 or 2 people's feet. You know what I mean? Like legitimate analysis of how many people it would take to keep the site running effectively with consistent updates or whatever changes to coding and shit like that that you might need. If they were able to evaluate the legitimate staff, okay, and how many people would they employ, and then they could shave off the excess people, right? And save some money there. But I think that ultimately that doesn't matter. I don't think they care about that, right? And I think that that is, it's no longer just like conspiracy theory. It has nothing to do with operating efficiently, excuse me. It has to do with making an ass ton of money. Like so much more than you would need as an executive at Twitch or any other company. That's the problem, right? Is every company in this country and in a lot of other countries, they aren't just satisfied with making profit. They have to make insane profit. Like insane. And that is the crux of the issue. Because I'm pretty sure Twitch is doing just fine, right? And has been doing just fine. Stream at least 40 hours a month could receive $100 for running 2 minutes of ads. What? This year it said creators who stream at least 40 hours a month. Dude, I stream that easily. For running 2 minutes of ads. And I can't do that. Because I can't even get 5 people in my chat to talk at the same time. You know? Like there's these different milestones you've got to hit. And like I've completed one stage of it or a couple stages of it. But it's like path to affiliate is the next one. And it's essentially 50 followers, 5 people chatting at once are the last 2 things I have to overcome. And for the most part, I could get like friends to come in here, and I could probably be like, listen, I know I suck, I know I'm not entertaining, but could you come in here and help me achieve these goals? You know what I mean? I'm sure I could probably convince 5 people to come in and at least, you know, converse or write something in the chat at once and check that one off, you know. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to go and ask for favors. I didn't even like the idea of streaming to Facebook for a long time because I didn't want to be an annoyance to anybody that knew me or knew of me, or, you know, you consider your friends on Facebook, they are theoretically your friends, or were at one point somebody that you felt close enough with that you could add them as a friend on Facebook, you know? And it's like mutual acceptance. Like you send that request and they accept it, then the theory is that they feel the same way, that you could at least be considered a friend, right? But even still, I don't feel right asking for those favors. I don't feel right being like, hey, you know, you guys help me achieve these goals, because I want it to stand on its own. I don't want the content to stand on its own. I want to be able to achieve that without asking for favors necessarily. I mean, and I'm sure that it's pretty normal for these introductory milestones that Twitch wants you to hit for people to ask friends and family to help out. And I'm sure I'll have to break down and do it at some point. But I'm just trying to find the avenue or the lane that I need to fall in that people enjoy the most. I was able to get Elden Ring to work. I'm gonna get back into it here pretty soon, but I always like to start off with some sort of analysis or news or politics or something like that before I get into the gaming. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But yeah, I don't like asking for handouts. I don't like asking for favors. I will if I have to, but I wanted to give it, you know, a couple months before I start asking for that. And truthfully, I don't remember entirely, but I've been doing this for a couple months now. The last 2 weeks, I'd say, I've been falling off in the number of days and hours that I stream, just because I've been looking for a legitimate job. And I say legitimate job, even though, like I said, I consider this to be a legit job. It doesn't pay the bills, you know. And I got bills I gotta pay, so I'll get there at some point. I have to find one of those typical jobs, right, that I can do that doesn't kill me, both spiritually, mentally, and then also physically. You know, I don't want to go out and do some back-breaking work, because I'm gonna have to come home and stream. You know, I'm gonna have to do both, and that's fine. Like I said, I enjoy doing this. It's fulfilling to me, but by the same token, whenever I get on here, I don't want to be like, hey guys, thanks for stopping by. I just got off work and this fucking sucks. Let's play Elden Ring. And I'm like passing out while I'm trying, you know. I want it to be at least somewhat enjoyable to watch. Is this Twitch's stock? Or is this just the NASDAQ? Okay. What? We down a shit ton?
How's the Dow?
Did the stocks take a shit today? In general? The stock market?
Down a percent. Yeah.
Whoa.
Not been a good time to own stocks the last year.
Unless you're a crypto bro.
Companies don't have established understanding of live streaming purchasing power, regardless of whether or not it's ludicrous. Yeah, it's incredible. That's where Twitch should be spending their money. Proving the value of ads on their service.
Right, especially to the young crowd these days. I was talking to my counselor about this at my counseling session on Tuesday. How the thing that kind of pushed me over the edge to decide to do the streaming is because I wanted to foster a community that was like about mental health an addiction, and being able to bring people in and discuss that as part of the chat, and me maybe focus on a topic that I thought was important for that day, week, month, whatever. You know, something that might be bothering me particularly, or if, you know, somebody throws out a suggestion. So ultimately, that's what I felt like there was a market for, so to speak, or there's not much that I have seen or heard about that are popular content creators that fall into that lane, you know? Now, I'm not an expert, of course. I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that. I've just, you know, dealt with some shit, and I thought that maybe if I could offer help, then great. But what I was mentioning to her, because I told her about the streaming and how much I enjoyed it, but when you consider younger kids like Lily, she's 14, they're perpetually online, man. Like, it's just even more so than like my generation, you know, when we were younger and the internet was first becoming popular and people were starting to own computers in their own homes, and it was starting to take off, and we were online a lot, you know, and it definitely has picked up over the last couple decades. And so our kids, and eventually our kids' kids, will probably continue that trend and increase the amount of time that they're online. So we're going to have to develop supplemental like assistance, you know, to cater to them, right? Like, whether it be like, because when I was growing up as a kid, you know, before the internet became super popular, and I'd be watching TV and I'd have entertainment forums on there that helped me out, you know, whether it was just through entertainment or education or whatever the hell it was. But I found a lot of value in watching content like on TV. And now the kids these days are spending so much time online and engaging in things like TikTok that, you know, if we can offer like content creators that help them address issues with like mental problems or self-confidence, you know, or any of those type of things, because you know, like the shit that they found out with Instagram and how it kind of promoted eating disorders amongst kids is so fucking alarming. And the fact that they knew that and did nothing about it, I mean, it's like a whole separate conversation. But I think if online there is this caustic environment that is breaking kids down, then we can also try to cater content that is uplifting in a way, and not like pretentious or fake or like praise Jesus, you know, although there might be value in that. This is not me, and I'm not going to come on here and pretend that that I find strength in Jesus or anything like that. You know, it would just be, it'd be fake for me to claim that. It's not that I don't find religion to a certain extent to be important and valuable. I think that a lot of people have found strength that they never knew they had on the basis of religion. But I just think like organized religion, when taken to the extreme, can be more harmful than helpful, I guess, is all I'm trying to say. And when it comes to me, the reason I say it's pretentious is because I'm just not a religious person. It's not that I don't believe in God or a God, or that there's some sort of ultimate being or whatever that oversees things or might have created. All I claim is that I don't know. I have no clue. But I do think there's something, or some afterlife. You know, you guys, if you've been in here before and you've heard me talk about paranormal shit, this is exactly what I mean. Is I'm convinced that there is an afterlife and that there are ghosts and spirits and stuff like that. And if I believe that, then there has to be something that I can't define that exists and occurs after we die. So stands to reason that there are other entities or beings or spirits that exist that might run shit. You know, there might be a God. I just don't know. And I found strength in other things, because while religion might be super valuable for a lot of people, I just felt weird trying to lean on that belief when I'd never turned to it for strength on a consistent basis. You know, like I almost feel like if you're not willing Okay, it's hard to put into words, but while I believe in God and I do ask for his assistance, right? Whenever I'm facing difficult times, I don't think it's appropriate for me to go and spout to people the importance of being a good Christian. You know what I mean? Just because I'm not willing, or I have not put forth the required regiment of religious practice. Like, I don't go to church, you know? Even if I do start going to church, it's only for a very short period of time, like a few Sundays in a row, and then I stop. You know what I mean? I use this comparison a lot, but whenever Lily's mom died, I couldn't explain to her, who was 4 at the time, where her mom went. So I turned to religion, and we spent a few weeks going to church, and then we used it as a crux to explain to Lily, okay, well, you know how we go to church and they talk about God? Okay, well, your mom is with God, and she's an angel. You know what I mean? So it worked out to be a valuable supplement towards teaching Lily what happened to her mom at a young age. Now, if she had been the age she's at now, when her mom had died, it would have been a different conversation. It would just been like, she's dead, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Life sucks, and people die, and she's dead. But even still, without the supplement of religion, we still talk about how we know she's a spirit. You know, we know that she still exists in some capacity. She's just not here right now. But Lucifer is harassing me again right now, and I have to go pee. So I'm going to leave you with Mike for a couple minutes, and I'll be back in just a second. Let me put up my...
Too many fucking ad breaks.
There we go. I know it says starting soon. Hold on. Boom. Ha!
All right, where's that student loan thing? Oh, yeah. By the way, chat. Undergraduate students at Grinnell College just won their first wall-to-wall undergraduate union in the United States in a landslide 327-6 vote. The union will cover every hourly student workplace in dining halls and elsewhere on campus. Hot diggity damn, chat. Let's fucking go. Hot diggity damn.
At Amazon has been an inspiration, I think, for millions of people all over this country. What you did, as I think everybody knows, is you took on one of the most powerful corporations in this country, owned by one of the wealthiest people in this country, a corporation that spent millions and millions of dollars trying to prevent a union, and you, with a grassroots effort, a locally organized union with almost no financial resources, hey, you beat Amazon. That is remarkable. And I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, congratulate you for that extraordinary victory. And obviously, all across this country, people are saying, whoa, if these guys at Amazon could take on that company, we can do it as well. You know, as Nelson Mandela said, everything is impossible until it is done. You did it. And as I understand it already, there are Amazon warehouses all over the country that want more information as to how you did it. And what we're looking at, I think, is a national sweeping movement. I think that what's going on in America today, and you are helping to lead that effort, is that people are sick and tired of corporate greed. I mean, can you imagine? You guys work for a company owned by a man who's worth something like $180 billion. He has spent $500 million on a yacht. He has a mansion with 25 bathrooms, and yet he is continuing to squeeze his workers as hard as he can and to fight the ability of workers to come together
Scumbag.
for decent wages, decent benefits, decent schedules, decent working conditions. And whether it's Bezos or whether it's the people who own Starbucks or where else things, exploitation is taking place, people are saying enough is enough, you know?
Excuse me.
We are living in an economy today where it's not just Bezos, but you have all kinds of corporations making huge amounts of profit. You have more
Exactly.
wealth inequality
Right?
today than we've had in 100 years and during the pandemic.
Exactly, dude.
Like Bezos and others.
That's
have become
precisely what I said, wasn't it?
I can't wait, Birdie.
It's not just profit, it's absurd profit. And if we could shift that mentality away from that being acceptable, where they continue to exploit workers, because when was the last time the minimum wage was legally raised? I was a kid. I don't remember the exact year, but I think it was George W. Bush, right? Who was the last person to increase the minimum wage, and it's what, $7.50? $7.25 an hour still in 2022. So they haven't forcibly increased the minimum wage where people are required to be paid a reasonable amount to live on.
We're living in a different time right now.
But
At
the same time, profits have exploded. So they're still paying people the same they were paying them when I was a child, at least, right?
Personal grievances.
While their profits have continued to explode.
It's like actually principled leftism. What a dummy.
That's unacceptable, man. I mean, it really is. Because that's the mentality that exists that allows us to believe that $20 an hour is awesome, like an excellent amount to be paid.
I look forward to working with you.
And it's really not. It's not that great. That's not a great amount. That's not fantastic. It really isn't. So what is it like? I'm gonna have to look it up, but what the poverty level is. Like, what's the annual income that a person can net and be considered at a level of poverty?
And inspired by what you have done, and I look forward to
Gotta change my batteries in my vape.
to see the work that you have done spread all over this country. So once again, congratulations. Keep up the great work.
We're gonna look that up in a second because I want to know what the annual income is for the poverty level. Not only that, but we're also stigmatized into believing that accepting aid is something to be ashamed of, too. And that if you fall into that category, it's because you're not working hard enough.
Time to back Joe Biden's bid for president. For many Bernie fans, it was the end of a movement.
Which to me is so fucking shameful. It's shameful for them to imply that. That I'm sorry, you just need to, the bootstraps analogy. I'm really concerned about, or not concerned, but I'm really interested to see how many super ultra wealthy people would actually pick themselves up by them bootstraps. Or how many of them just fell into it because of, what is it called? Is it hedonism? Is that whenever it's like family wealth that's passed down? Like, how many of them actually worked really, really hard to become ultra wealthy? Or how many of them, through a series of fortunate circumstances and lucky gambles or generous donations, made it? You know what I'm saying? Or shady tactics where you offer to sell products on your massive global network or your website and also distribute the products for these smaller businesses only to steal their designs for whatever product it is they have by reverse engineering it, then selling it at half the price and running them out of business. Like, how many businesses exploded based on those type of practices? I would stand to wager it's quite a few.
He wouldn't accept that he was the key factor, the foundation of everything. Even after everything that had taken place during the 2016 cycle, Bernie would not believe that he had a special quality that inspired people. The question, as American democracy remains under attack,
Whoops, where'd Mike go?
whether Bernie can succeed in creating a left coalition that's bigger than him, that goes beyond him, or whether it evaporates without his.
Sorry about that. I accidentally took the new tab
Joins me now.
and Mike with me to the other screen so you guys didn't have to stare at it.
I think there's a lot of the thing about Bernie is he's mostly escaped. He's mostly escaped the same kind of like backbiting that other people like in the squad have suffered. You know what I mean, chat? Like a lot of squad members constantly get attacked for like their looks, being a young women, being sellouts, blah 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 blah. But Bernie has largely escaped that. I don't know that you can underestimate how important that is. The messenger in some ways becomes.
Is it because he's a rich white man?
Book. Do you think Bernie Sanders has another presidential run left in him? And if he doesn't, who does represent the left in any kind of open race?
Yeah, when I wrote the book, I would have said no, and you can kind of see that tone from me. But after the memo this week, and with Bernie, you can just never count him out. I tell the story in the book.
That doesn't seem
3 weeks into
okay.
the campaign when he cut his head right there, and he had to get 7 stitches. And about a week later,
This doesn't seem right.
stitches, and there's no scar.
Sorry, is that showing up right for you guys?
He's this
Okay, yeah, I guess it is,
weekend.
kind of.
He's out rallies
that.
with
Just
workers in New
This.
York at the Amazon plant and in
Well, that was weird.
with Starbucks workers.
Hold on. Sorry, that was so weird with this tab, what it just did.
Another run, I'm sure.
Anyway, okay, this is what this is talking about, of course.
Without cautious thinking.
But this doesn't seem right.
Into the stress that we felt
This is number of persons in the household
2019
to be, this is annual income to be considered at poverty level.
process. He is not somebody who makes
And
decisions on a whim.
if I'm understanding this correctly,
He thinks it's best for the country.
say you're one person living in a household,
He thinks, and in this case, if
right? And to be considered at the poverty level, it's $13,590 annually,
More sense.
or is it $18,075 if you're one person living within a household?
1035, the month before the 2024.
Because this is what 100% is poverty level, and this would be 400% of poverty level, right?
I don't. First off, I think.
So-
I think even his statement acknowledges the likely.
That seems
mandate is Joe Biden.
incredibly low,
I think we have to acknowledge that.
right?
I think
In my mind, that is an incredibly low number.
look at an analysis of the race. Look at who wants to run. He would think about every
18,075.
he has the ability to kind of see his potential.
Jesus, dude.
He would say, "Am I the
That's
best?"
so little
If he does believe
income.
he's the best person, he would do it. And if he doesn't, he would.
I mean, my jobs that I've had haven't,
Somebody else who wanted it, I think it would.
I've gotten paid substantially more than that.
time.
And that's what I mean is I know that the jobs that I've worked, I haven't gotten paid incredible sums of money.
Many times, but I'd like to ask you to.
I mean,
What do you
I'm
think
not,
Bernie could have done
it sounds like I'm
20? A lot of
like
people say
spoiled or
by the
something.
time of the
I'm
South
coming
Carolina
across
primary,
as,
he should have been maybe moderating his message
like-
to win over more mainstream Democratic primary
but
voters.
I'm not college educated. Like I have
The party
like
established
3 years of college under my belt total between the 2 years that I had when I dropped out back in 07.
Criticized him for.
And I did a year of online college during the pandemic.
The thing about the Clintons, whether you like the
But
Clintons or
I
not,
don't have a degree. I have experience, but you know, it's just
if you like the Clintons,
because I started at a job and like worked there for a long time and
something they did,
acquired that on the job training. You know, I'm
list
not
of their
like,
enemies.
I don't have a degree or a certification or anything like that.
Gonna get on the list.
But you know, jobs that I've gotten paid, it's like 20,
Rat.
25, 28,000 a year. And I like,
Carrot.
that's way more than 18,075 a year. Of course, I have me, myself, my daughter,
Who went
our
against
our little family, and we live in a multi-generational household.
fearing becoming persona non grata.
But 18,075 is the poverty level of annual
Had
income.
no fear of Bernie. None.
Can you guys imagine
None.
making that little?
Wild to me.
And I'm saying that with semi-confidence because I don't think anybody makes that little.
If Bernie moderates his message,
Is that essentially if we took the minimum wage and multiplied it times,
the median.
you know, 40 hours a week, right? Times 52 weeks in a year. Is that what that is?
But I think if Bernie changes who he is, he's
Hold
not
up.
Bernie.
because now I'm interested. Like,
the fact about him
that is an incredibly low number that I don't buy.
And if he suddenly became inconsistent,
Like, I knew, of course, to be considered poverty level, you have to make very little, but I would have never guessed it was that little,
What was the biggest reason you think?
is what I'm getting at.
well, I think the biggest reason he didn't win was the unification.
All right, so if we were getting paid, is it 750? Hold on, sorry. I can't remember if it's 750, 725.
I think there were many steps along the way of the campaign. I talk about some of the mistakes made in terms of structure.
Is there a federal minimum wage or is it state? No, it's federal, right?
When the campaign
725.
in April 2019.
Okay, so it's even less than I thought.
Negatively. I think why we
Because I know there was a proposal to double it to $15 an hour.
between South Carolina and Super Tuesday, the Democratic Party uniting behind Joe Biden in a way you've never seen before.
Sorry, I'm reading something. That's why I'm looking down.
I mean, I followed this very closely at the time. That was always going to happen. There was no scenario in which the quote-unquote Democratic Party established. You can't have it both ways. You can't be, I'm running against the establishment, but then I'm shocked that the establishment all joined up to stop me from winning. Shouldn't you have had... Well, my question is, shouldn't you have had a plan for that?
I think, first off...
That's some hindsight bias bullshit. Obviously, I've been saying that. By the way, at the time, I said that the establishment Democrats will try to have Trump win over Bernie. The establishment Democrats, time and time again, support Republicans when a progressive or a leftist wins the primary. So I was expecting a ton of, is Trump really so bad?
Yeah.
Stories to start coming out if Bernie won.
So in, what year is this? 2019?
That was
In
unprecedented.
2019, only 1.9% of all America's workers made $7.25 an hour and below. So that the fact that that quantity is so insanely low makes sense.
Different scenarios, and I think
It's not right. It should be much higher than that, is what I'm getting at.
Not surprising, but remarkable.
Like,
the way in which
it should be like 25 grand a year, in my mind, would be poverty level, based on expenses and costs. You can't say this is the poverty level because this is what the federal hourly minimum wage is multiplied by 40-hour work week multiplied by 52 weeks in a year or whatever the hell it is. That's not how you should be calculating that, and I'm not entirely sure that's how they do it. But $18,000 a year is not feasible in my mind to survive on.
And then Super Tuesday was that Tuesday.
Unless you have literally no expenses.
South Carolina election happened on Saturday, and Super Tuesday was on Tuesday. You've already campaigned.
God, in 1980, the federal minimum wage was $3.10.
South Carolina, you're in nationwide. It makes, like, why wouldn't you just roll on to Super Tuesday to see what happened?
Okay.
But they went, oh, I didn't win South Carolina. Boom, everybody endorsed Biden. By the way, Elizabeth Warren, stay in. What?
So $7.25 per hour times a 40-hour work week is $290. And I know that's gross.
Who the top centrist
That's
is.
gross income.
After
so then
South
you have to
Carolina,
take taxes
Biden had
out of
an
it,
advantage,
right?
But that people were going to go
What is
Super
taxes?
Tuesday was
7%?
like,
I know that's sales
harder to
tax.
stop a campaign than just keep it going for 3 more days.
But there's federal income tax and state income tax, right?
What do you think?
I think
about
a good estimate
for points in time for the
is
primary?
20%.
The fresh rate for the candidates already decided by the time the PA gets to vote. I think there should be like
federal
regional
income tax
primaries.
brackets. I know.
Personally.
Oh, okay. It's based on your
I think
income.
the Democratic Party should go,
Of course.
west,
Let me take a look.
northeast, midwest, and end with the
Because
south.
I'm interested in figuring out
That's my personal opinion.
how they justify such a low amount for
they
the
get their
poverty
votes.
level.
That's the order. They get the most votes from the west, and they get the second most votes from the northeast. Then the
All
Midwest.
right, single
is their,
filers. Jeez, dude.
Like swing area, and then the south.
I
is
mean,
like,
how do you determine?
no support.
Okay.
Why waste their fucking? Why would
Hold
they
up.
select the primary person? That's idiotic.
So it's what, 18,000 is the poverty level? Is that what it
That
said?
way, people have the opportunity to
12%.
like see the candidates in different environments, and they don't have to campaign for the entire country.
Okay. We're gonna say
I don't see any reason why
12%.
Warren wouldn't snake her way in and get it as well. Am I wrong? Does anybody like Elizabeth
12%
Warren?
for federal.
Totally fucking gutted her support. Why not a single federal primary? Because I'm not sure I like that, just because it really heavily leans towards people with name recognition.
Okay, it's 3.23%
if you
in
just
Indiana.
do one national primary.
So
it's like
15%. Let's call it 15%. And that's on the low end. Okay, that's on the low end. 20% would be safer, but we're going to say 15%.
I think both were necessary, but probably Warren staying in. To be honest.
All right, so it would be like taking out $43 from your paycheck every week. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, we're doing this. We're doing the math. 43.5 to be exact. Okay, so you'd make like $246.50 on every paycheck per week if you were getting paid the federal minimum wage. And there are 52 weeks in the year, right? I'm going to make sure I get this right. Yep. 52.1429.
I mean, also, you can't declare bankruptcy on student loans. You can declare bankruptcy on...
No, they will take
credit
your
card
student
debt,
loans
loan
off
debt,
your dead fucking corpse.
mortgages. You could declare bankruptcy for these things.
Message with the forces that don't want Medicare
Right.
for all, with the forces that don't want
Student loans, student debt is the one thing they will come and take off your dead fucking corpse.
believe that Bernie wouldn't have backed it.
If you've got gold rings and jewelry that you're buried with,
About those
they will remove that shit from your
policies. I'm
corpse.
just saying, if you're running in a Democratic primary, it's best not to run against the Democratic Party because primary voters tend to like the party more.
Anyway, based on my crude calculations here, if you were getting paid the federal minimum wage minus taxes per year as a single individual, like a single filer, you know, $12,853.22 would be your annual income if you were making the federal minimum wage and working only 40 hours a week. About 13 grand. And they consider 18 grand? Oh, that's probably where that first number came from, right? In that table I was looking at. Yeah, the 13,590. I know that it's not exactly, but you know, my math is 12,853. This 13,590 that's listed here is probably gross. I actually calculated the net. So that's insane though. That's insane. That's insane. That's so low, dude. Imagine if you're living in a place and your rent's $1,000 a month. Just $1,000 a month. Right there. You've got $1,590 left to survive the rest of the year. And that's not including any additional bills you got to pay on top of rent, you know, utilities and shit like that. Cell phone bill. I mean, if you're making that little, you don't have a contract. Let's face it, you've got a prepaid phone and it's shut off a lot because you can't afford minutes as often as you would like. And God help you if you have insurance, because then that federal minimum wage that you're taking, that you barely can survive on, is now being reduced even more. You know, like if you've got employer-based insurance, you know, they take it straight out of your check. That's incredible. I had no idea it was so low. It should not be that way. To me, 18,075 is crazy low. That's not even based on the math. That's even... They added an additional $5,000 to the bare minimum federal income per hour. I'm sorry. It's just flustered me. That's crazy, man. I can't even process that. That is such an incredibly small amount of income. And that's, I think, a big goal of it, right? Is because as I'm sitting here contemplating this, I'm thinking to myself, wow, you are a spoiled piece of shit. Like, I honestly am thinking that. Like, you've made far more income above and beyond the federal minimum poverty line. And I think it's intended that way so that we feel as though we're blessed. Does that make sense? Like, I think there's a certain psychological component to keeping the minimum wage where it's at. Because then psychologically, we feel like if we make double that per hour, then we're very fortunate. And therefore much less likely to ask for a raise or ask for more income. I just got off the phone earlier today. I'm trying to get a job as a aviation mechanic. You know, like an entry-level position working on planes. I love planes and flying and shit like that. And even though I've kind of been debilitated for the last 2 decades or so with anxiety issues, I'd love to get back into it. And I've got a lot of maintenance experience. I love working with my hands. I got a bunch of tools. You know, I'm very mechanically inclined, and I know how to troubleshoot things. I spent a lot of time installing, you know, components, electronic components in vehicles, a lot of advanced systems and stuff like that. But anyway, when I was speaking to the guy on the phone earlier about the possibility of getting a job out there at the airport working on planes, he's like, yeah, well, we're only paying like $20 an hour. And I'm like, that's fine, man. Like, I'm okay with that. And he's like, well, it's just an entry-level job. I'm like, in my mind thinking, wow, $20 an hour for an entry-level job? Like, that's incredible. But like I said, I think it's kind of set up that way on purpose. Right? Exactly for the reason that I just stated. If you think to yourself, holy shit, I'm getting paid twice as much as the federal minimum wage, then I must be doing pretty well. Which in some cases, like in some respects, that's kind of true. But employers really can't get away with paying the federal minimum wage. That's why only 1.5% of people that work in the United States get paid that little. Because there's not many people that are going to be willing to go to work for that little of money. Because from a analytical perspective, if I'm only getting paid $7.25 an hour, it's not even worth my time. You know, like, it's not even worth my time to drive to the job. I mean, assuming that you're fortunate enough to have a car, right? Because Lord knows there is no public transit in this fucking country, okay? And there's no way that you can safely make it to and from work on a bicycle, okay? It's not like we have bike paths or high-speed rail or any of that effective mass transit that we would need to be a productive society. But again, this is something my counselor and I were talking about the other day. There's a reason that we don't have that type of infrastructure either. Because, you know, too many fucking people make way too much fucking money off of the sale of gas and oil exports and automobile manufacturing, you know, and just all that shit. And nobody that runs shit in this country has the balls to say, well, I really don't give a fuck how much money you guys make off of it. We're doing this thing. We're doing this for the good of the people that live here. Anyway, it's a whole separate conversation. But what I'm getting into is you get set up with this mentality that you're fortunate and that you're getting paid a crap ton. And while that may have been true at one point, whenever the cost of everything is more expensive, and I'm not even considering the inflation that's going on right now, I'm just talking about at a base level, shit gets more expensive every year. It's cost of living, you know? And the truth is that if you can find an employer that gives you cost of living wage increases on a consistent basis, then you're supposed to consider yourself fortunate as well. Very fortunate. You know, a lot of employers do have reviews. You know, it's supposed to be every quarter, every financial quarter, I think. I don't think it's like a law per se. I'm not sure. It might be a law. But, you know, if you want to be considered a serious, like, legitimate employer, you consider wage increases every financial quarter, or you're supposed to. Now, having said that, I know that for all the jobs that I worked that were supposed to be evaluating your performance every financial quarter and giving you a raise, it never happened every financial quarter. They would talk about it, you know, even the people who sat on top of the pyramid and were the supervisors, or, you know, the big wigs within each company. They might mention it every financial quarter. And they might be like, we need to sit down and do your review. And then 3 weeks later, they were like, oh, you know what? We really need to sit down and do your review. And even if you insist, right? Let's say you're running a machine at a factory and you're like, well, you know, I could probably find somebody to cover me and we can go do the review now if you got time. Well, no, not now. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm not trying to say that they're doing that purposefully. I'm sure in some instances they are purposefully blowing you off. But in a lot of other cases, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I like to say that while they're not doing it on purpose, they're doing it even by accident, you know. They honestly do want to give you that review. They honestly do want to bump your pay, but, you know, because everybody's so busy or things keep coming up, or, you know, like I said, it might just be 100% purposeful bullshit that they put the stuff off. But truthfully, if it was all purposeful, I think that they wouldn't even mention their reviews to you, and they would wait for you to bring it up before they, you know. So the fact that a boss, supervisor, whatever, would go out of their way and say, damn it, we need to do your review, and bring that to the forefront of your memory, that's kind of taking a risk, you know, especially if they don't intend on doing it, right? And that's just the discussion of a raise. That doesn't even consider the consequences of a review, right? So you go in, and even though you might be doing a great job, they can say whatever the fuck they want about your performance. And even if you're doing a good job, they can bring you in and say, you know, you're doing a pretty decent job, but I see this one day 3 weeks ago, it looks like you left early, and you're like, yeah, my kid was run over by a John Deere tractor, and I had to take him or her to the hospital. Yeah, see, we don't look too highly upon people leaving work early. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what comes up. That's the type of rebuttal that you get, or can get, when the review actually does take place. It's them essentially being like, no, you think you're a great employee? Well, let me give you the truth about what I think, you know? So even if they don't flat out refuse to give you any raise, if they do end up coming off with some extra money per hour for you, it's 5-10 cents extra per hour, which helps, right? But if we get a 25-cent per hour raise, we consider it to be a blessing from baby Jesus up above. And that's crazy. That's crazy. An extra 25 cents per hour, and we're like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Like, that's cool, and it adds up. Right? It adds up.
All right, Chad. I'm still a little bit fucking beat from traveling, so I'm gonna be I'll be back. I'll be back.
He's cutting early. Oh, Hassan's on though, isn't he?
We'll have a fuller stream tomorrow.
You panty waste.
Thank you everybody for supporting the stream. Remember, You can do all the things.
Listen to what he says, right? Even though you can't subscribe to me, hit that follow
He's
button.
taking a page out of Deng's book. He bet that the West greed and corruption will be critical. weakness.
Oh boy. All right, let's get out of this.
Thanks so much for hanging out. And
Is Hassan live yet?
Ukraine? No.
I know he's showing live, but he is.
Like hate clicks in a deep dark circle that you're in.
I think he may have
making you
lost
more
his voice.
sad and more desperate
I
every
think
single day.
you,
Gotta get
chat,
out of that
in
mental
general,
place.
can go fuck
Just like I
yourselves
try every day.
because you guys are such insignificant pieces of dog dick, and I hate everybody's fucking face. Even though I have substantial wealth, in my mind, you guys can get fucked, okay? You Reddit trolls and you smooth brain baboons come in here and talk to me like I am not the end all be all.
He gets too butthurt by chat. Okay, if as a massive creator, similar to the way that I am, I understand that people are going to come in and they're going to say shit and it's probably going to piss you off. But I also like to think that they would probably stop coming in and running their mouths as much if you didn't acknowledge them. Now, that's not saying let them walk all over you. Like if the chat legit fills up with viscous bullshit and just hate-filled comments that are abrasive and annoying, sure, acknowledge it. But if it's like 2 or 3 people that come in that are like, dude, your mustache looks ridiculous, which it does, just let that roll off your back. Like, the fact that he engages with these trolls, it's like they say, man, don't feed the trolls. And that's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. Is that a wasp over there on my ceiling? Where's my electric tennis racket? It's around here somewhere. Hold on, I'm going to turn Hassan up and let him yell at the chat a little bit more to make him feel bad. I'm going to try to execute a wasp.
And
that I think is on my ceiling.
And that is
You smooth brain baboon.
Like, it feels like you're devalued in their eyes. You're only valued in their eyes as much as how much other people would pay for you to go away. Platform. And Facebook is throwing gigantic fucking contracts, like so much money that like ninja style money almost. But it's definitely still greed on behalf of Twitch to try to milk harder rather than look for alternative forms of revenue generation. I understand why they want to fucking serve more ads. There's a lot of inventory here that they're holding on to. That goes unmonetized and frustrating for them. They do have high CPMs, however, because of the way that they hold a tight grip on what kind of content is played on their platform. As much as we make fun of that, they're very good at that. Okay? But Facebook is giving the full subscriber money to creators, but not forever, I'm sure. Yeah, they'll change it too. They're just trying to what do you mean by alternative forms of revenue generation? Things that probably take for granted currently when other streamers do it, like podcast, paywalled podcast, more merchandise, more ads, more sponsorships, mostly just sponsorships really, and joining a team, things like that. So it won't be just the top of the hour ad.
I was hoping he would catch on fire.
Comes at the top of every hour and
in front of the camera, but he didn't.
And then
he didn't even spark or anything.
That's all you need to do is subscribe. You can do that for $5 or for free with the Twitch.
I wonder
Prime.
if he's got COVID. I'd seen something in his chat yesterday. Somebody mentioned COVID. Of course, it could have just been some douchebag. But I think he's been sick with the flu. Which, same, dude. I'm literally just now, today, starting to feel a little bit better. I started off as congestion, and I started taking antibiotics to try to combat it pretty quickly. And it was 24 hours of head congestion, the antibiotics, kind of kicked its ass a little bit, but it went down into my chest. And I thought it would just be a couple days of me trying to cough that shit up. But man, have you ever had like the congestion in your chest where even though you're like wheezing and coughing, like nothing is coming up, like it's not productive cough, it's just painful. That's what I'd spent. It took like 3 days of that shit where it just would not move. And I couldn't even cough effectively because it hurt so much. And of course, you know, being a sufferer of asthma made it that much worse.
The person that you enjoy in the entertainment industry, including Jordan Peterson, is not going to have a level of narcissism. At least I acknowledge it.
What the fuck?
So yeah, but thank you for saying I'm entertaining.
Your narcissism is relentlessly entertaining. Okay, first of all, you motherfuckers need to stop defending Jordan Peterson. I don't give a fuck how many degrees he's got. He's dumber than a bag of dog dicks, and I'll say that till the day I die.
Jordan Peterson isn't narcissistic, dude.
Give me a break, dude. Give me a break.
So to avoid a ban, chatters have to praise you while dunking on you. Hidden Marty, you've been in here for how many?
Several years.
Many months now? I mean, I can't see your user card, but I think you know better than anyone else that that's not how you avoid a ban.
Really? Because I'm pretty sure that guy just talked mad shit to you, called you narcissistic, and avoided the ban. I'm just saying, like, or he may have banned him. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Guys in the chat wouldn't say this shit IRL, man. Of course they wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't, because they're a bunch of punk bitches. And you're like 6'7", and 350 pounds.
Ban everyone who doesn't agree with you, sheesh. No, that's not true at all.
Wow, they're coming hard for him today. I was hoping to get like a nice chill stream. That is the one reason that I will straight up get out of this stream.
Raids to consistently,
because this happens so relentlessly. Am I wrong? Does anybody watch this on?
Which fucking up and corporate greed. And it, again, because of the parasocial aspect of like people who because of the parasocial aspect of like people who watch Twitch and like the hatred that they feel towards Twitch streamers and how fortunate they are, because Twitch streamers are incredibly fucking lucky. Let's be real. People literally will end up siding with a corporation rather than like recognize that this hurts them even as content enjoyers.
He's right. And that's the type of take that I agree with. Specifically, what I had said earlier about being incredibly lucky to be a content creator. And he acknowledges that, even in his immense state of wealth and fortune.
Here's an example of Twitter's left-wing bias. We have to take the context into consideration. Twitter's interpretation of the context is affected by the left-wing bias. I would need to see an example of that. Ugh.
That's disgusting. God, I'm sorry. Elon Musk is such a fucking toolbox, dude. I'm sorry for anybody who sims for Elon. But I can't. I'm sorry. And again, everybody that's super excited that Elon just bought Twitter is about to get really unexcited.
There's a difference between taking criticism and, you know, having people be like, you can't take criticism, which is not criticism. You have to show an example. I'm also, the reason why there's so many people who routinely derail the stream is because I can't stop looking at that kind of stuff. There's a difference between criticism and like stupid criticism. There have been plenty of times when I've apologized, even when the person criticizing me was coming from a genuine point of view, even when the person criticizing me, like in the Nicki Minaj drama, when Barbs were calling me racist, but there were black community members who felt like even the fact that I thought about fucking tweeting out something to Nicki Minaj was reminiscent of people making, you know, back of the bus jokes to them when they were growing up, and I apologized to them, despite that being more so an emotional response that they themselves recognize.
Okay, and going back to what he's mentioning, when he was considering writing that reply about Nicki Minaj being in the back of the bus, it was in reference to her suggestion of the bus analogy. made mention of a bus in her comparison. And his reply wasn't rooted anywhere in racism. His response was utilizing the same analogy that she utilized, but from a different perspective. But because people perceived it as even borderline racist, he didn't tweet it. And I knew immediately, as a lot of people who support and agree with Hassan probably also recognized, that when he was crafting that response and using the back of the bus or the bus as an analogy, it didn't have any racist connotations to it, because in the argument, race was not a consideration. It had nothing to, well, other than the fact that Tucker Carlson is a racist. And just because they happen to agree in this one instance that the COVID vaccines needed more research or some shit like that, whatever the bullshit was, just because they agreed on that one aspect, that one perspective, doesn't mean that Tucker would ever allow Nicki Minaj in the inner circle to be a part of his group. Because let's face it, his group believes in one thing and one thing only, that they all devoutly worship, and that's division based on differences, whether they're racist or ethnically based, religious. If you're not a WASP, you're not invited to be part of the group. And that's straight up what it was. And that's what he was alluding to, is don't let Tucker trick you into believing that he will ever allow you, he will never acknowledge that you made a valid point. He might hear, just because it's one way to own the libs, so to speak, you know? But there's never any serious context in which Tucker would be like, yeah, Nicki Minaj is allowed to be here. She's allowed to participate. Especially if it came to who's going to rule the world. You know, who's going to be in control of the country? Who's going to run shit around here? She would immediately, in Tucker's mind, be disqualified. Sorry, I just snorted into the mic.
That's it. That's also precisely the reason why my communication with chat.
Oh, that's good, Cody. Cody Johnston from the Cody Showdy. Is it Some More News? Is that the name of his YouTube? Some More News, right? I watch it all the time. I'm not trying to be facetious or whatever. I just couldn't remember. But I'm pretty sure it's called Some More News. Anyway, I follow him on Twitter.
Because I want this to be as open as possible.
I like his comment. But anyway, this just in. President Biden just told a group of lawmakers he is looking at different options to forgive most, if not all, federal student loan debt, per CBS News. And then Cody said, "You said this 2 years ago, chop chop guy." He's absolutely right.
Like you do was unheard of to me before coming in here. Yeah. And it's not something that happens. I think other streamers are kind of as well.
You know, that's my favorite argument against forgiving student loan debt is, well, what about all the people that paid back their debt? What about them? I mean, shit changes all the time. Like, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? Like, I have no control over that. However, I don't think it's a valid argument to use against moving forward with the idea of forgiving loan debt, student loan debt. And I especially love it when that argument comes from people that never borrowed money for school and damn sure never paid back money for school or never went to school, you know? That's always the people lodging that complaint is, what about the people who went and paid back their student loan debt? And who are those people? I'd love to meet them. I'd love to meet those people, because if they were able to pay off their student loan debts, it's because they make an insane amount of money where they were able to afford their day-to-day living expenses and their rent or their mortgage or whatever, and on top of that be able to afford paying back loans and interest, you know. So those people are already in a pretty cushy spot. So I can't say that I feel for them. The people that really want student loan debt forgiven are the people who are having trouble keeping their head above water. And like I said before, they will come and take that student loan debt off your rotting corpse. It's literally, I think, as far as I understand, in terms of write-offs, like if you file for bankruptcy, I think it's one of the very few debts that you cannot write off. You can't.
That literally fucking.
You better plan on paying that shit back.
An Indian bot farm to communicate with.
Or die with it. And that's what was it the other day? I'm sorry, I just turned it back up so we could hear him. I'm gonna turn it back down. But some video the other day, I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was John Oliver. But anyway, essentially the whole crux of the discussion was about, I can't remember the exact phrasing, but essentially these big millionaires or billionaires like Elon Musk, they don't have to claim income because they don't have any income.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
You know, they accept salaries of $1 a year, and they're paid in tax, or not, I'm sorry, stock options tax. They're paid in stocks.
This is lifetime gross revenue.
And then they go and they take out loans, and they use those stocks as essentially collateral, or they use it as proof of their standing, of their financial standing. And so they take out these massive loans from these banks, and they live off the income from those loans because those loans are not considered income, so they're not taxable. So in Elon's case, he owns Tesla, SpaceX, whatever the name of the company is that's doing the brain chips, and now he owns Twitter. And prior to that, everything that he had in terms of income was in the form of loans. Like, I'm not even kidding. He didn't make any money at his job.
I think the real problem,
it's just he took out loans from the bank using these massive stocks as the collateral to say, look, I'm good for it. You know, like, I can pay you back. I'm Elon Musk. The problem that I have with that, other than the fact that it's fucked up, is that I can't do that. I don't have any credit. You know what I mean? I don't have any collateral. I don't have
virtually impossible to fucking have
billions and billions of dollars worth of stock tied up in the market that I can go in and show my portfolio to a massive bank and say, look, I've got $20 billion worth of stock, and them loan me $20 billion. And then me live off of that. I don't have the capacity to do that, but he does because he's Elon Musk. My whole entire existence and my validity as an adult is based around my credit score. And if anything ever comes up where you can't pay back this loan or you can't pay back this credit card, they'll tank that shit in no time. And it essentially is this number they assign to how good of a person you are, or how trustworthy you are, how good of a risk you are as a human being, you know? And while it takes like decades, or at least several years, to build up a really good credit score, it takes no time at all to wreck it. And that's crazy. It's backwards, you know? Should be really easy to establish a good credit score and really hard to ruin it, but it's not. It's the exact opposite. But that's my main complaint, is that if that opportunity was afforded to everyone, where you could go out and take a massive loan based on trust. Like, trust me, I've got these stocks that I own, and you can prove it. There are ways to prove it. Like I said, portfolio and, you know, yeah, I'm not super familiar with it, but there are ways that you can acquire proof that you own all these shares of stock and then take it into the bank. Even if I were able to do that, I still wouldn't be awarded a massive loan because I'm not Elon Musk. I'm just some dude. I would have to establish credibility on top of the collateral, you know, or the proof that I provided that I own $50 billion in stocks. I would have to be like, okay, well, here's my history, here's my background. They would have to get in deep to my history, and once they look at my past, you know, they'd be like, no, you're not trustworthy, you're a drug addict, or, you know, you were fired from a job back in this year for stealing, or, you know what I mean? Like, they would look at those things and disqualify me. So it's just not an opportunity that's afforded to everybody. And even still, when it came to the success of Tesla and SpaceX and those companies, you know, it's not like Elon poured his money into those companies. He got loans from the government, and he got grants from the government, and he got all kinds of support from the government. And the government itself invested far more in Tesla and SpaceX than Elon did.
How do you spell the last name just for me? Just C-A-R-I-N-O. Thank you.
An address for the record, and you may use your business address if you feel more comfortable.
Sure. Christian Carino, and the work address is 2000 Avenue of the Stars in Century City.
And that is in California?
Correct.
And what is your current occupation?
I'm a talent agent.
And could you give me just a very brief description of your education?
I love this dude.
Experience?
Sure. I have a BA from the University of Massachusetts.
You're not perfectly lined up, and you're behaving like an annoying, smarmy little Tumblr.
For approximately 16 years, and before that, I had a 12.
Okay, I have something insane to admit to you guys. When I was looking for houses, this guy's house was one of the houses that I almost bought. 100%.
Tough life for you. I'm glad to hear it, man.
Insane. Literally,
Nobody.
And I didn't buy it because it was fucking psychotic. Like, look at the glasses.
Yeah, it is crazy. And you guys look like you're fucking twins.
I'm not even kidding. Yeah.
Is that Colin Farrell?
Multiple clients and brands in transactions in the entertainment space.
Are they playing a recording? Because there's a date of January 19th of 2021 on there. God damn, he looks dapper.
What do you say in the entertainment space? What are you including?
Look at that tie.
Just the different genres of entertainment, everything from motion picture to television to books to licensing to modeling.
Like all of the stuff. Can we get on with it? This dude is my favorite. Other than the British butler guy the other day, that guy was amazing. What was his name? Ben? Was it Ben? I don't know, but he was just the best, dude. He was like very smarmy, and you know, he's British. He's a very tasteful, respectable British man. The type of liaison that would work for a rich actress. That was all about maintaining confidentiality. And he was very soft-spoken.
It means I organize, pitch, transact in contractual agreements between talent and studios, talent and brands.
It's so funny to hear him have to explain his job.
Entertainment platforms.
It's like having to explain it to your grandmother.
Brands and individuals.
Grandma, I'm a Twitch streamer. Okay, what does that mean, honey? It means like I go online and I turn on a camera and a microphone and I just talk.
I do.
With so
every different.
So what does that mean?
Talent with
Grandma, I don't. Look, it's hard to explain, but I go online and I I do different things, you know, like I talk about a subject that's important to people, or, you know, maybe I play a game and then discuss other things that are going on. And, you know, I just try to keep people entertained and informed. Oh, and they pay you for that? It's like,
go to Las Vegas.
yeah, they pay people for that. They don't pay me, but they do pay people.
An agreement.
Okay.
For
what kind of insurance do they offer? Come on, fuck the insurance, dude. It doesn't matter, because regardless of the insurance or the company, it's all shit. If you're living in America, it's all shit. Okay.
It spans the.
I don't care. I'll wait 2 weeks for general health care in a country where there's Medicare for all. You know what I'm saying?
Is one of the
Like, I don't care having to wait a little bit longer for elective services
to build
and general health care. Now, emergency situations are completely different. Even when there's Medicare for all, you still get the same level of emergency treatment.
conversations.
It's just
with
the
Mr. Waldman and
routine
Mr.
maintenance, run-of-the-mill type stuff that you end up having to wait a long time for.
Opinions.
But let's face it, if you're going to make healthcare more accessible to everybody, people are going to take you up on that offer more commonly. The only reason that we don't have a window of time that we have to wait for healthcare in this country is because so few people seek out healthcare. Because it's too goddamn expensive. And the vast majority of us will put off going to the doctor for years. Not necessarily because, you know, there's a significant chunk of people that are afraid of doctors, but because the time it takes to go to the doctor, while that sounds like menial and trivial and stupid, that, whoa, God, what are you, just lazy? No, what I mean is, in order to go to the doctor, let's say I work a typical 9 to 5. I have to schedule an appointment to go in and see that doctor. But I have to make sure my employer is going to allow me to take the time off to go see that doctor. And in most cases, if you're just working like a manufacturing job, let's say, for example, and you've got a doctor's appointment because you want to go in for a wellness check, they tell you, sure, you can do that, but we're going to point you for it. You know, they're going to essentially punish you and remove 1 day or hour or whatever from your employment record that you can then miss in the future. So even though you're going to the doctor to try to ensure that you're healthy, they're going to punish you for it. They're going to point you for missing work, even though you give them plenty of notice and time. You might even find your own coverage, you know, your own coworker or something that you ask them to help you out. Can you come in and work my shift on this day for this amount of time so I can go to the doctor? And even if you get all those finite details ironed out, they're still going to point you. They're still going to punish you for missing work. All right. And then, God forbid, an actual emergency happens in the future. Basically, what I'm getting at is you're going to end up getting fired. Life throws enough issues at us that eventually you're going to run out of sick days. You're going to run out of days that you can be late. You're going to run out, and they're going to make sure of that. It's like my brother used to work for a big company, manufacturing, but they were automotive and heavy industrial machinery. And it was like, if you were like 1 minute late for clocking in, you got like half a point. And you're like thinking, oh, well, that's not bad. You know, you only get half a point or something like that for being that late. Yeah, but, you know, even if you're 1 minute late, if you go up to the time clocks and, you know, there's somebody in front of you or a line in front of you or something like that, and for some reason you can't get clocked in, and people are like, well, just show up earlier. While that is a reasonable expectation, it also should be some give and take. It shouldn't just be like the employee is sacrificing even more of their free time towards getting to work on time and getting clocked in. You know what I'm saying? The company could give a little more leeway and say, look, we do have to document every time that you're late, even if you're a minute late, but just dock them maybe 1/12 of a point. You know, for it to be like 1/2 of a point, while that still doesn't sound crazy, when your employer only offers you 3 total points before you get axed, 3 points is not great, you know? So essentially, if you've got, what is it, a total of 6 days within a calendar year that you show up at least a minute late, you're fired. But, you know, they do give you points back, you know, and that's what they love telling their employees is, well, you know, even though you might utilize and use up your available points, we will give them back to you. Yeah, they give you 1/4 of a point back for every 6 months that you show up on time without being late at all. So you essentially have to do that, you know, just to get 1/4 of a point back 6 months without being late or calling in or, you know, having any other issues that they deem to be a deal breaker, right? So that's the problem you run into. And like I said, life occurs, okay? And you're always going to get hit with shit that's going to prolong your day or set you back or mess you up. And while they shouldn't be happening every day, they, from a reasonable perspective, they happen more than just like twice a year or 3 times a year even, you know? And so to say, yeah, we'll give you your points back, but you have to work an ungodly amount of time in consecutive days and consecutive months before we'll even consider giving you back 25% of 1 point or something like that, you know? It's just the math doesn't work out right. And you as the employee end up having to sacrifice way more just to keep that job. So yeah, that's kind of the big issue with it, is the point system itself is crazy. So if you end up being late, even a few times throughout the year, you know, you're going to lose your job. So
Whether an article like this or this particular article, in my opinion, would have a positive or negative effect on somebody's, you know, career, I could potentially answer that. But as to definitively whether an article has or has not had an impact on somebody's career, nobody can answer that question.
What?
Without research. Specifically.
Mr. Carino, I think we were just going to start looking at the Carino exhibit number 3. This is an article.
I don't think I got
that
COVID from
was
Coachella chat
published
because
in November of 2018.
I went to Coachella far beyond the incubation period.
Do you?
he got it from Coachella.
Want to believe that it is from Coachella, so I just say yes.
It was.
What publication is that?
He wants to talk about incubation periods, man. It's like,
I have a friend.
dude, Lily had it for 7 days before we were able to confirm that she had had it.
Was sick with COVID last week.
And then it lasted another 7 days for her. And then it was like an additional 7 days before I started experiencing symptoms. So it was like
A bit of a COVID guy.
it takes forever for it to show up.
Big time. Okay. What is happening currently? We're going to be talking about here today is
Colin Farrell.
I guess the back and forth between Johnny Depp talking about Amber Heard in a Rolling Stone article alongside the same exact things that Johnny Depp is currently suing Amber Heard for.
This dude's amazing.
Originally, there were 14 instances of domestic abuse that a UK OIBRAV civil court found to meet the burden of proof for potential domestic abuse happening in a libel lawsuit that was happening because of a Sun article written after the divorce and the amicable split between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
I think in all cases, I just referred him to somebody who worked for me to find out what the payment schedule was.
Other than these.
Okay. This fucking music, listen to this.